It's time.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Uh, Leslie, Heather, Steve. This is the June 18th, 2026 edition of Beyond the Stamp. And this evening, we are so excited to have Steve. Say your last name, Steve. I don't want to
It's
butcher it.
Bjorkman.
Bjorkman. Okay, I was going to say
Yep.
that. Steve Bjorkman from Notary Gadget. Before we let him introduce himself, I do want to caveat that the Michigan Notary Association, we're not lawyers, we're not a law firm. None of us here, I don't know, Steve, are you a lawyer?
No, not a lawyer.
Okay,
No,
none of us
thankfully
here are lawyers, so nothing that
not.
we talk about this evening should be considered legal advice. We specialize in best practices and the do's and the don'ts. So with that,
Sure.
we'll go ahead and move on. Steve, please introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Steve Bjorkman. I'm the founder of Notary Gadget, so founder and CEO, so still heavily involved in the company and still even do a lot of the programming still. It's something I enjoy doing and whatnot. But for those of you who are watching today, I'm sure many of you are already Notary Gadget users. We've been around for a long time. I actually just looked it up because we were just talking to somebody else. So it's been 14 years since Notary Gadget first started. So pretty
Wow.
wild. Yeah. Yeah. It's been a long, long, fun journey too. So, and many more years to come. So we got new stuff coming out, which is going to be exciting. So, um, but yeah, that's, that's the, that's who I am.
All right, awesome. I do want to hear about the new stuff coming out, but first, let's start with the origin story. What kind of problems were you seeing that made you see in within the notary world that made you say, "Needs to build something for this"? So, what was the catalyst?
So, so I'll start with the catalyst and then I'll kind of segue into where it's at now. So the whole idea when I first came up with this idea was I had a friend of mine who was a notary and he was talking about how difficult it was tracking when you get paid for stuff. Now, this was long before like SnapDocs and signing order were around or anything like that. So it used to just be you worked for an escrow company and then they would cut you a check, hopefully, whenever you were done, because that was a big part of the problem is like, you had software out there like QuickBooks, which you could do invoicing and that sort of thing, but it wasn't really catered towards the way that notaries do things. And in those days, you always got paid by check. Like there was no such thing as a direct deposit. Like nobody really did that. And trying to track when you get paid for stuff, and then, the invoices had to be very specific, had very specific information that a general accounting system like QuickBooks just didn't track. It didn't have all that extra information like property address and loan types and all this other stuff that you would typically have to provide to a signing company or an escrow company or whomever you were doing the signing for. So it was just that big pain point that kind of started it. And I said, wow, there's might be a project here. And then on top of that, the big thing too that you didn't have, and I don't know, QuickBooks might do this now, I have no idea, but back in the day it didn't, is tracking your notarial acts because it's such a huge benefit for taxes. And we could segue into that later on. I feel like every podcast and every webinar that I do, we always end up talking about that because it's probably the most valuable thing. And it shocks me to this day how many notaries still don't know about notarial acts and how they affect your self-employment tax because it will save you thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars a year in taxes. So it is such a big deal. And it's crazy. Like occasionally we'll get a user comes in and we'll import all their old signings for them and they might have like 300 or 400 signings and they'll be like, so why do you track your notarial acts? You're like, oh my gosh, if you're even asking that question, you've probably lost ten to $15,000 in taxes over the last 2 years that you paid that you didn't have to pay. So, and we've even encouraged people like you should file an amended return because it's something that you can do and you'll get all that money back. So, anyway, but that was another big pain point that was there. And then, so the whole idea was that originally was just a basic accounting system, just kind of catered towards the notaries. Well, as anybody who knows it today, it's way more than that now. Now it's kind of a run almost your entire business through Notary Gadget. And I would love to say that I'm this great, mental mind that came up with this awesome idea to do all this, but it really didn't happen that way. It was more our users saying, hey, would be cool if you added this. It'd be cool if you added this and cool if you added this. And to this day, that's really how we run Notary Gadget. So we try to come up with ideas on our own, but honestly, especially with the amount of users that we have now, like usually when there's an idea, like there's a bunch of people telling us about it. So we're like, oh, that's a cool idea. So, again, I'd love to sit here and say I'm this brilliant person, but it's really not. It's all of our users that have contributed to their ideas to the software to kind of make it what it is today.
Awesome. I appreciate that you give the credit where it's due to the notaries because sometimes, it's a thankless job. So it's great
Yeah.
to hear that, and shout out to all the notaries that fed back information to Steve to help make Notary Gadget what it is. I personally am a former user. I don't do that many notarizations now that I'm the co-founder of Michigan Notary Association and do all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
But when I use it, I primarily used it to keep my business running, but I love that profit and loss statement I could print and I could just
Mhm.
take that to my accountant at tax time. That was like great, and I could track everything. So let's dig in a little bit more into the taxes because that was a huge thing.
Sure.
And in my bones, I know that there's so many notaries that just don't understand, what they can deduct or what is not subject to like federal income tax or what part is included in self-employment tax. So can you just break it
Sure.
down for the
Yeah.
notaries?
So it's
Wait,
actually
I'm
quite
sorry.
simple. Oh,
Sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
I would like to preface this whole part with we are not tax
Yeah.
advisors.
Right.
That
And
is
we
true.
are not giving tax advice. The Michigan Notary Association is not in any way, shape, or form responsible for any of the information that comes from Steve Bjorkman's
Yeah.
um, verbiage. And if he would like to take credit for it, that is great. But the Michigan Notary Association is not responsible as we are not tax advisors. We do request that you get a hold of your own tax advisor before you move forward with anything that he is about to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Leslie.
Sure. So, I'll throw out it too. So I'm not a CPA, but I've worked closely with mine for over 20 years. So, and all the stuff, you can look it up. It's all published on the IRS's website and everything. Even if you ever look at our profit and loss report, we even in there reference the publication that you can reference to look at it. So, but let me kind of jump into how it works. So, normally, when you are a W-2 employee, so when you're just working for another company or something, you have to pay, everybody knows that you get Social Security and Medicare taken out of your paycheck. Well, what most people don't know is the company that you work for also has to match that amount. So, and the portion of your paycheck is 7.65% gets taken out. So part of that's most of it's Social Security and a little bit of it's Medicare. So the company that you work for then has to match that, and that all gets sent into the IRS. So that's what funds Social Security and Medicare. Now, let's switch. So when you're now an independent contractor, which all notaries for the most part are, and this applies to all independent contractors. So it doesn't matter what you do. It's if you're an independent contractor, what happens is the IRS looks at you and says, well, you're kind of half employee and you're half employer because you're employing yourself. So instead of you being responsible for that 7.65%, they say, well, you're the employer too. So you're now responsible for both parts of it. And that's called self-employment tax. And that tax is in addition to your federal withholding and your state withholding that also you would, that normally gets taken out and that you file a tax return at the end of the year to see how much of it you still owe, or if you owe more, if you get a refund, whatever. So then that's a big thing that a lot of notaries don't understand. So this is the best part about being a notary is notaries, when they're doing notarial acts, the amount they charge for notarial acts is not subject to self-employment tax. So them and I think pastors are the only ones that get this tax benefit. So the problem is when you go in and you say, okay, I have all my income and all my expenses, and you walk in and you hand it off to a tax preparer, or in many cases, even some accountants don't know about it. If you go in and they don't know about this and they don't file it on your taxes, you're paying 15%, actually 15.3% of your income for self-employment tax. So let's use a good example. So let's say that you made $50,000 this year. That entire amount, if you are not filing or not reporting your notarial fees, that entire amount is subject to 15.3%, which if you do some quick math is roughly about $7,500 in taxes that you have to pay in addition to your federal taxes and your state income taxes. So now, how this works is when you go and you do a signing or a notary act of any kind in your state, most states limit the amount that you can charge per notarial act. So I think I want to say California is like $15. So I'll use that as an example because they're one of the higher ones. So what they can do is let's say that you go in and you do a signing, a loan signing, and you commit 10 notarial acts in there. That's $150 of whatever they pay you to do that signing is now not subject to self-employment tax. So anybody who's been doing loan signings for a long time knows that typically your notarial acts will actually cover the entire amount that you typically would get paid for a signing. So in most cases, most of your income is going to be exempt from self-employment tax, assuming you're tracking all of that stuff. And the same thing applies for a general notary work as well. So if you go in and you say you notarize a document and say you charge somebody $25 and you're allowed to charge a max of $15. So maybe it's $15 plus your $10 travel fee or whatever it is. That $15 of that 25 is now not subject to self-employment tax. So what we find is that most notaries who track this stuff will get most, if not all of their income becomes exempt from self-employment tax. So I use the example of somebody who made $50,000. There's many notaries out there, especially if you're really busy, that you're probably clearing over 100K a year. That's $15,000 in taxes that you could very well have been paying that you didn't know that you didn't have to pay if you were tracking your notarial acts. So that's kind of the quick summary of how it works. And the key is you got to track it, right? So you got to be able to justify it. You got to be able to track it, all that, which, I'm obviously here for Notary Gadget, which is what Notary Gadget does. I mean, you could do it with a spreadsheet or something if you wanted to, but we do it. We put it on the profit and loss report. We put a big section at the bottom of it. We reference the IRS publication because, like I said earlier, there's actually a lot of, if you go to like a general tax preparer, like, I'm not trying to beat up like H&R Block or somebody like that, but if you go to a lot of them, most of them are not certified public accountants. They are just going to go to some classes to become like a tax preparation class and become, a person that's knowledgeable and that's some like, I don't want to say they're licensed, but they do some kind of level of education. But if they don't understand that and they don't report it, you're paying it on your taxes. And the same thing goes for a CPA. So one of the big things, since it's a great segue into this topic too, is the first thing we always tell all of our users this, and we got videos in our software that say this. The biggest thing I always say is when you go to visit your tax preparer or your CPA, the first question out of your mouth should be, can you explain notarial acts and how they affect my taxes? And if they can't give you the answer that I just gave you, find somebody else because you'll have an uphill battle trying to explain to them what they're supposed to do as opposed to somebody who already knows how to do it. So, so yeah, there's my quick overview, or not so really quick, but overview of self-employment taxes and how your notarial acts affect them and why you should be tracking them.
Would like to clarify that if you do keep this on your own, and I know this is Notary Gadget and they're going to do it all for you, but there are people who don't use Notary Gadget who do keep a spreadsheet. And I want to clarify that all of those notarial act fees in Michigan, it's $10, up to $10. While they're not subject to self-employment tax, they are still subject to income tax.
That's
so
correct.
You do need to have a column for that too. And yes, most tax preparers need an education on that. So, okay, next.
All right. So you touched on how the notaries start off with spreadsheets. So where's the breaking point where I, as a notary, should move away from spreadsheets and get a tool like Notary Gadget?
So there's usually two points at when this happens that we found anyway. And one of them is the first pain point is you'll know. You'll know when that happens because all of a sudden it'll become a ton of work trying to keep everything organized in a spreadsheet. And you'll be like, oh my God, I forgot my spreadsheet at home, or I got to pull it up on this device or that device. And then you're scrolling around and trying to figure it out. So that's pain point number one. The second pain point, I'm going to go three. There's actually 3 points. Two of them are called pain points, and then the third one's a business advantage. So the second pain point is when you hit taxes and you say, okay, I got all this data in here. I think I got everything in order. For the most part, you should be able to sum it all up in a spreadsheet. But then you say, okay, I got this spreadsheet. And then you go to an accountant and he says, okay, this is great, but do you have a profit and loss report? And they'll say, how do I do one of those? And they'll be like, okay, I can do it for you, and it'll be $300-400. So that usually is a big pain point, which is why the majority of our signups usually happen from January through April, because that's when people are like, oh my God, I made all this money. I got to do taxes this year. I have no idea what's going on. I haven't been tracking my expenses, or even if I did, what am I doing with my receipts? So that's another pain point is, okay, so now I have this shoebox of receipts, or they're in my email or whatever. Whereas we're using a software platform like Notary Gadget, or any accounting platform does this part. But you can upload your receipts and it's all tied to your expenses. So when you generate that profit and loss report, you click a checkbox that says, show a detailed list of all my transactions with the receipts. So now when you're emailing a PDF, or you're probably not printing it out, you're emailing it to your accountant, it's got a picture of all the receipts. It's got every transaction completely line item. So they also know that, hey, what I'm getting is not just some random thing I sort of made up, and, that's more easily fudged, so to speak, than, a software platform. So the third one is what I call a business advantage. And this is more common now than I think it ever used to be. But, now people are going to expect, when you have a client, they're going to expect some sort of a notification or reminder. So, things like that, Notary Gadget automates for you. When you have to send an invoice, you're not going around trying to draw up an invoice, clicking this, clicking that. In Notary Gadget, when you put in the signing, it's already there. The invoice is already generated the minute that you put in how much you're getting charging for a signing or whatever it is. And all you got to do is hit click send right from it. You don't have to open up emails. You don't have to attach stuff. You can instantly send it. So it's that among tons of other stuff. When you start to get really busy, now you can start tracking, did I get documents for the signing? So when you start to get busy, this is where I say, like, the spreadsheet store starts to fall apart, because, all right, so I have a little column in my spreadsheet that tracks when I receive the documents. Like, that's great, but what if I'm driving and I'm on the road somewhere and I'm like, okay, I'm going to pull up this spreadsheet, click the checkbox. And now you have this list of 27 different checkboxes for all the little different things that you need to track for the procedure of your loan signing, or whatever signing it might be. And whereas Notary Gadget creates all those, or gives you all those tools to do that easily. And now it's on a mobile app too. So now you're not trying to open up a spreadsheet from 12 different devices, and or not 12, but whatever, open up from your computer and then from your phone, and it's not formatted to fit your phone, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we have typically seen.
Do you have a place where you can put the like FedEx or UPS tracking number
Yep,
when you
sure
have to
do.
ship? Okay.
Yep. You can even like tap on it, and when you do, it'll open up, it'll go to the website, so you can actually see the shipping and everything. Yeah, it's all those little automation tools that, when you're doing one or two signings a month, you're like, okay, no big deal. I can just do this. But as soon as they start to stack up, you're like, okay, and then again, now you still got to track when you get paid for it, which was the original foundation of how Notary Gadget got invented. But that, because in a lot of cases, anybody who's been in this business for knows that sooner or later there's going to be a company that doesn't pay you, or takes forever to pay you. And if you're not actively tracking that, then the longer you wait, the less likely it is that you will actually get paid for it, because a lot of times that stuff comes out of funding, and once that loan gets dispersed and funded, nobody wants to pay anymore, because it's got to come out of somebody's pocket, because that money's already gone. So, it's why it's so important to have some sort of system, whether you use Excel or something like that is fine too. But obviously, our software makes it more organized and easy for you to do that.
I would agree. I use that quite a bit. For your notaries that are joining Notary Gadget, using Notary Gadget,
Yeah.
when they first join, do you feel like, or do you hear from them like, oh, I didn't know it did this? Or is there like something that they underestimated? And then once they find out that it's there, they're like, how did I
Yeah.
ever live without
Yeah.
this?
That's an interesting topic altogether, because this is the theory we've always had in software. And Notary Gadget is actually one of three software platforms that we own. So we own another one that's it's actually much simpler, but for one for realtors and one for rentals. And I only say that because this all kind of ties together. When people grab a piece of software, the first thing they want, they said, I don't want it. This is like the number one thing people always say, and I'm just as guilty of it too, is when you first open a piece of software, you just want it to be easy and be able to understand it. But being easy and understanding and having advanced capabilities don't go together very well because the more stuff you add to it, obviously, the more complicated the software is going to get. So when a user first creates their Notary Gadget account, we have like three different we call them alerts, but they're like tasks, right? So if you used it, you'll probably remember this. You have one is like it tracks whether or not you sent your invoice. So there's like these little icons, and the icons are designed to say, "Hey, when I'm done with it, when it hasn't been done, it's colorful. When you've done it, it turns to like a light gray to show that that task has been completed." So it's like send an invoice, enter in my mileage, enter the amount of notarial acts, and then the fourth one is, or did you get paid or not? So when you're tracking all that, it's really simple. But like I said, when you get busy, you're going to start tracking things like, hey, did I get my did I have do I have docs for the signing yet? Did I if you have to do scan backs, which a lot of companies require, did I send them and then are they approved or not? So again, like all these extra things. So we have these tools, but we turn them off by these extra tools, but they're turned off by default. And then usually what'll trigger that is either somebody asking a question like, "Hey, is there some way for me to track this?" And we're like, "Yes, go to the settings page. There's like five different things extra things you can turn on inside the software that allow you to have these extra tools to do that." So that's one, or a lot of times what'll happen is the thing we love too is that, and case in point right here, is the notary world, I feel like is a very social world. Like notaries all talk to each other. Like it's kind of like I don't know, it's like a cool club to belong to sort of thing. I don't know. I love the culture of it. So a lot of times you'll ask somebody and they'll say, "Hey, did you know you could do this? Did you know you could do this?" So they'll find out that way. But yeah, there's a lot of advanced tools that we don't turn on by default because people would open up, and especially if you're just starting out being a notary, you'd be like, "Whoa, this is way overkill," because in most cases you don't need it yet. But when you start to do a bunch of signings and you start to get busy, these little things start to add up because if you start missing them, then you get a bunch of upset customers and upset signers and what have you.
Steve, I have a question for you. Um,
Sure.
so I keep seeing people on Reddit, especially posting these little feelers out there. Hey, check out my app, or what are the problems, the pain points that you have that you wish there was an app that could help with? And then others will be like, hey, I have this new app. And basically, they're all Notary Gadget reinvented. So, like,
Yeah.
I know what it's like to start a new business.
Hmm.
We're right there with you.
Yeah.
How did you get? I'm not asking you to give your competition clues. I
Sure.
really would like people to understand how difficult it is to actually get seen in a market like the notary world. And then I have a follow-up question too.
Sure.
Um, and I'll ask that when you're done.
So I'll say it was kind of luck, actually. Today it's really difficult to be seen because what happens is when like now advertising is very difficult, right? Because 14 years ago advertising wasn't this difficult. It was, you could get an ad on Google and you could run that for a while and it would do pretty good. But now there's so much competition on Google, and and then you have Facebook and all these other ones that there's just so much competition. The price of advertising has gone up significantly. And then you got to hope that, that you actually have a product that meets whatever their needs are. So, because we're in such the maturity level of our cycle, of our business cycle, right? Because we've been around for 14 years. So we've been around forever, so everybody knows about us. It just takes time for you to get known. And then once you get known, as long as you have a good reputation, which I feel like we do, then it's not as hard to do it anymore because everybody's like, "Oh, I've heard of it," and people recommend us all the time, that sort of thing. When you find something you love, you tell everybody about it. And that's sort of
Yeah,
our theory. We just try to build software that people love, and then we kind of hope everybody will share it. But that takes time. Just that's
yeah,
part
for
big part
sure.
of it.
Thank you. Okay, my
Mhm.
follow-up question to that is every once in a while we see an influx of notaries out there going, hey, use Notary Gadget. Here's my link. Do you have an affiliate program?
We do have an affiliate program, yes. So it's usually typically reserved for well, like associations, like you guys, yeah, that will do for, that will, yeah, help promote it, assuming, that you guys obviously believe in the product and whatnot.
Okay, so I guess I see individual notaries doing that, and I thought it was more for like anybody who's using it to kind of grab people to bring them in.
Yeah, we do not. There's a handful, but
Okay.
usually it would have to be like somebody who is, has a very big social presence or something like that, where they're
Okay,
doing things on a continuous basis. Like an association, like you guys would be a perfect fit for it because
got it.
you're doing webinars and this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But an average individual notary, I should say, there's probably a handful that might have been like in the very early years. I mean, we have a ton of notaries that have actually been using the software for over 10 years. So,
Oh, okay.
when we first
All right.
started it, 13 years ago, we had in a program like that where individuals could do it. But
Okay, so it's not a current thing. You don't have individual notaries
no, no,
who earn
not unless you
affiliate
have a big
dollars
social
for,
presence.
okay,
Yeah.
got it. Well, we're
Because,
happy to talk to you about that affiliate
sure,
program afterwards, because I do know a lot of notaries, whether everybody is on board with everything, that doesn't happen. I can tell you,
of
Debbie and I
course.
have
Yeah.
gone back and forth about notary journals.
Yeah.
She has what she wants, I have what I want. Heather probably
Sure.
uses something totally different. We don't have to agree. We just have to agree that it makes sense for the association as a whole. So we're happy to
Sure.
talk to you about that at another
Okay.
time, not right
Yeah.
now. But back to you, Deb.
So I do have a question about the journal. So
Yep.
does your Notary Gadget have like an e-journal?
Yes. So it's the big point you talked about like what are the pain points or what at point do you switch to it? So I didn't even think about that. There's been so many things that it does now that that's why I say almost. There's like a couple little key things that we're working on for the next that our plan is for the next year to 2 years I mean ideally shorter than that, but it always seems to take longer than we want it to integrate into it. And then we'll say like now it will be a truly you sign up for Notary Gadget, you need no other tool, period, right? So that's our goal is to get to that point, and we will get there. It's just what pieces are added when. So anyway, one of those big pieces that what we added a couple of years ago was the journal. So yes, now you have an e-journal that's completely tied into the software. So just the same everything that you're tracking again. That's one of those little task icons is a journal, and so you put it in there, and it's got a digital signature pad and all that stuff. Your typical e-journal.
Tell me about
Okay, so
this digital signature pad, if you will,
Sure.
please.
Mhm.
Explain how that works. Am I using a stylus? Am I using my finger? How close to someone's actual signature does that get?
Depends on the device. So if your device supports a pen or whatever, because all a pen is doing is it's just a finer grain touch point than your
Sure,
finger, right? So
understood.
the underlying mechanism that captures that is the same. So it's just whether your finger on it or whatever. But yeah, I mean it should be as good as whatever you're using on there to write your signature. I mean it's not going to be perfect, but no digital signature is.
What is your knowledge of anyone having to produce a journal entry for court? And how did that work with an e-signature?
I have no idea. I've never had anybody reach out to us about it.
Okay,
But obviously, like, I know ours, and they all do this, I'm sure. Like ours generates a PDF file of the signature. And that's part of the key too, is like once a journal is signed, it cannot be modified. You can make a new journal entry, like
okay.
as an addendum or something, but you cannot, as you shouldn't be able to, because that would be, which is honestly, I hate,
Fraud.
yeah, it would be fraud for sure. So, and unfortunately, I think that's the one big thing that a lot of people don't like about all electronic journals, assuming that the electronic journal is designed like that, which it should be to be legal in whatever state you're in, is that with a
Yeah.
paper one, you could kind of fudge that. Somebody signs, and you'd be like, "Oh, I forgot this checkbox," and you could kind of check it. But with an e-journal, like you can't do that because there's no way to go back in and edit something that's already been in the system. So,
Yeah. So I actually have um, had to prove on more than one occasion that I was actually with the signer at the time of notarization. My paper journal could easily prove that, gave a copy of that to the people who had to go to court. Um, that along with a few other pieces of proof.
Sure.
The same week that I got one of my notifications on this, another notary contacted me because she also had to go to prove that she was with the signer at the time of notarization. And she keeps an e-journal. I do not think it was Notary Gadget. I'm just going
Yeah.
to preface with that.
Sure.
But it doesn't, something about the signature, she had to literally go to court, and I produced the proof, and the judge dismissed the case.
Yeah.
So there, in my mind, and may or may not be true, having the paper journal with two very distinct different handwritings is what
Yeah.
made the difference for that. So like that would be my only concern with using an electronic journal
Sure.
in a situation where it's not remote online notarization. That's a whole different
Yeah,
ballgame.
it's a whole different animal. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
No, and
you
there's
haven't had anybody contact you about that?
no, you know, and I think that's, I mean, there's always going to be that. I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, anything digital can be modified, right? Like, let's face it, you could download a PDF. Oh, you could probably stick it into AI now and say modify the signature, and it would do it and regenerate the PDF for you, right? Like, it's pretty
100%.
wild what that sort of stuff can happen, especially now in the
Yeah.
last 6 months. The game's really kind of changed with the advent of AI and how good it's gotten. But outside of that, like that's it's like the argument to, for and against the same thing. But, it's like anything. I mean, once upon a time, contracts were all signed on a piece of paper too. Now, when's the last time you actually signed a contract in person, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
most of mine are all, at least the ones I've done, they're all DocuSign or something like that. So it's,
Right. Yeah. I mean, things do change. I just like don't like going to court. So
yeah. Oh no, of course. Yeah. That's the part that, I don't know that. I mean, either way it goes, like you said, either way it goes, you're gonna have to go to court for it. It's just, but you don't want to lose in courts. I think that.
no, actually, I was able to submit the proof. In the one
Oh, and
case,
didn't
I
have to go.
submitted the proof. In the other case, when it was taken to the appellate court, I was able to submit a sworn affidavit. I
Okay.
do not have to go into the courtroom.
Oh, okay. Oh, well,
So
that's nice. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, but the girl who had the digital journal did have to go
Good.
into the
Okay.
courtroom. So it's not that the case wasn't tried, it's that the judge accepted the handwritten proof. So I'm not, it's thousands and thousands of notarizations. And I mean, there's been three, right?
It's
Yeah.
And
going
there
to
were
depend
other
on the
people.
judge and the lawyers and the exact purpose of the case too. So
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
and there are notaries who've been notarizing for a decade or two longer than me who nothing's ever been challenged. So
Right.
it's really the luck of the draw on that.
For
So
sure. Yeah.
yeah.
That's one of those. Yeah. You just hope the wheel doesn't land on you. That's all right.
Well,
Yeah.
hope that if it does, you have the proper E&O insurance. So
Yeah, of course. Well, and like at the end of the day, too, if you have proof of it, too, that like, I mean, and maybe that's one of those things too that, and I'm just hypothesizing. I don't know what the word
hypothesizing.
hypothesize. I can't talk. Hypothesizing.
That's
Yes.
okay. We've said it for you.
Um,
You're good. You can use
right.
our word.
So yeah, I like it. So, but I think that's again, that's like it's the progression of technology, right?
Yep.
Today it'll be one way, and in 10 years, people look back and be like, "What? Nobody ever did it any other way." I think
Yeah.
we'll
Oh
get to
yeah,
that
for sure.
point.
Yeah.
And I think, maybe what'll happen now as part of the e-journal would be like, here, take this video, and now it's indisputable proof, right? Well, I
Oh,
shouldn't say that again.
yeah.
AI can edit videos now too, so it's a different story, but. I think it'll just be a matter of time, and maybe
Yeah.
even everything will become Ron eventually anyway, because that's obviously been blowing up across the US, for the
Yeah.
last couple of years. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, my next question actually relates to Ron. I think I heard you say, or maybe I saw it on your website, that now you notaries can import their jobs from like SnapDocs or signing order right into Notary Gadget, correct?
Yeah. So we support all
That
the
wasn't
major
my question,
signing.
though.
Oh,
That
sorry.
was my question. Let me
Oh,
finish
okay.
the question. Okay. Does Notary Gadget support importing from the various notary platforms as well? So do you get those jobs?
Yes. So we almost every major platform we can import from. So the way you do it is you forward your order confirmation email to automation@notarygadget.com, and then the system will automatically pulls all the data from it and then puts it into like a queue inside of your account. And then you just say, this, I want to import this one. And then it turns it into what we call a signing, which eventually will be renamed a job. But for now, it's called a signing. So it pulls all the data from that into a signing. So it's, order confirmation emails. Some of them we do like PDFs. It depends on how the platform's set up. It used to be that a lot of them all sent out like the order details in the order confirmation email, but a lot of them have redacted a lot of that information in there now. So many of them you forward in like a PDF of it or something like that, and our system extracts all the data from it, queues it up into your account so that you're ready to go. And then obviously it deletes it as soon as it's done with, the data from it.
So, okay, let me ask a follow-up on that. And Heather, I'm
Mhm.
going to ask you to step in here. Because Heather, I know you do a lot of direct run work. Is there a PDF that you would be able to upload? Like, how is it you would get that in there? Maybe have a discussion.
No, but my journal is downloadable into a CSV file, so it'll pretty much go into anything that can import. And if it can't import from a spreadsheet, then I'm probably not using it anyway.
So wait, can I ask on that spreadsheet, does it show the signature?
Now that you ask, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay,
I'll bet you I could download a audit log and import that too.
okay, all right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that the audit, is there an audit trail for your like electronic signature pad? Like, or is that encrypted in any kind of way? Like
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
where does
Everything, the
this
pictures, all of it's encrypted. Yep. Well, the
okay. So is
encryption,
there
yeah.
like an audit trail? So if somebody like Leslie going to court and they're like, she wasn't here. Like I know Notary Gadget will track you have to, it'll
Mhm.
show where you were, but does it have like an audit trail that could be downloaded?
Yeah, I don't know if we don't really have one that can be downloaded, but we track everything internally in the database. So we have timestamps for everything, when it's signed, when it's entered, when it's closed out, all of that stuff. So if we needed to provide one, we would just, if you needed it, we would do it. So if we've like, again, we've never had anybody request it. We could easily add it to the PDF too that said, hey, this was when it was entered or whatever, because it's all just pulled from a database. But when we first created it, we really weren't sure. Again, our philosophy is kind of like, well, I think I didn't elaborate on it too much earlier, but our philosophy is like when we add something new, we kind of add it at a minimum level and then we just wait for feedback because we've learned over the years if we overthink stuff, I'm not a notary, so it usually doesn't come out the way that somebody else is thinking about it. And then B, we end up adding in a bunch of stuff that nobody uses. And like this is something I learned early on is, we had a couple of features that I was like, this is going to be so cool. People are going to love this feature. Hold the logs. There was like 3% of the people that used it. I was like, okay, so that was a flop, but so now we're just like we put it out there and then usually like we did with the journal, right away people are like, we need to have this, we need to have this, we need to have this. And we're like, okay, cool. And we started adding all that extra stuff. And there's still some more stuff that's coming to the journal as well, just more along the lines of things that just make it quicker, easier, that sort of thing.
So I have another question.
Sure.
Debbie said something and it made me think of it.
Mhm.
Does Notary Gadget automatically track where you are, your location, so you don't have to physically add the miles or the location or that?
So no, it does not do GPS tracking, but what
Okay.
it does do is it will automatically calculate the mileage to and from your previous, either to or from your house, to or from the previous signing, if you have signings in a row, so you get to select which one. Then you
Mhm.
can also add in stops if you want to, which you create a whole list of favorites because most people hit
Yeah.
the same UPS and FedEx stores all the time
Yeah.
when they're dropping docks and all that. So it
Okay.
doesn't do GPS tracking. It's got like a mileage calculator / builder built into it. So you just click on an icon and you say, oh, this is the one I want, and it does.
So maybe you add that in if you can. Here's your idea. I'm giving it to you.
Okay.
Because one of the reasons that I was able to submit my proof is because I use Mile IQ
Hmm.
and it tells exactly where I am, which matched the information in my journal, which matched the sign-in sheet at the nursing home that I went to.
Okay.
And since I could prove without a doubt that's where I was on that day and time,
Yeah,
it was a no-brainer
it was a
for the
no-brainer.
judge.
Sure.
So, hey, there's your next concept
Okay.
for you. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll take that for free for 1 year for giving
Yeah.
it. You guys are laughing really too hard about this because I'm serious.
All right. Does Notary Gadget work better on any kind of phone? Like, is it work better on iPhone or is it
It's
it's good across the
the
board?
same on both of them. I mean, I'm an iPhone user, so I favor iPhones a little bit more than Androids, but it works
We
the
all
same.
do, except for
Yeah.
like
No,
somebody
no,
here.
You'd be
no.
surprised. We have a lot of users that use Android, a lot of users.
Yeah,
I
there
would
are.
say,
Yep,
yeah,
for
I
sure.
might even say it might even be predominantly Android. I don't know.
Yeah.
The only thing that's we hear more from the Android users because Android phones, so every manufacturer and every different model of Android phone uses a different version of Android and doesn't always support all the stuff that's in that version of Android. The most, it is actually the easiest platform to program for, but the most difficult one because you have to encompass all the possible different ones. And you remember that there's tons of different phones. They're all different sizes, all different screen resolutions. Some will support one version of Android, but they don't support the next. And whereas an iPhone, for those of you who are iPhone, I just had this discussion with somebody the other day because we just did a new update of the Android. We just released like three of them in a row because it was doing something weird that was on one person's phone. Yesterday, I had this conversation with a woman on the phone. Hers was doing this weird thing that nobody else's phone was doing. But it's crazy because it was just that model of phone that would do it. But anyway, but for iPhones, there's if it works on one, it works on all of them, and they all work the same way. So, but but Notary Gadget works the same on both of them, so it doesn't really matter. This was stuff. It's not that it wasn't working. It was like the icons were like stacked instead of being in a row. It was like weird formatting stuff that happens on some Android phones, especially if they're really old phones. Then that's usually the case, but
Yeah. All right. We did have some people join, so I want to give them a chance to see if Anetta or Tanya or Cheryl, do you have any questions about Notary Gadget? Feel free to come off mute or just shake your head if you don't.
No, I just started using it and I really like it. That's what I
oh,
want to
cool.
say.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, I will agree. I just started using it. Hi, everyone. This is Tanya. Um,
Hi.
hi. And I really, really like it. It's very user friendly. And I actually just sent my first invoice
Oh,
successfully.
cool.
And I love how you could send it directly from Notary Gadget. Like it connects, you connect, to your email and send it
hmm
right directly through there. And that was awesome. Thank
Oh,
you.
good. Great. If you ever need to do other emails, cool tip on this too for you guys, since but both of you just started using it. So there's another button in there where you can send emails. So if you want to do like thank you emails and that sort of thing, you can set up templates. So then all you got to do is click send email, click your template, hit send, and it'll do the same thing. It sends like a thank you email or whatever email you want to do. You can do like follow-ups for late payments, all sorts of stuff. So that's kind of a cool one that goes online with the sending emails.
Scheduler in there.
Nice. Thank you.
So I do have a few questions.
Sure.
Does Notary Gadget have a CRM system built into it?
Not yet.
Okay, okay. Um, let's see. So I'm still in the Excel spreadsheet phase. I
Yeah,
don't I
sure.
don't use the app right now.
Yeah,
And then I use QuickBooks for my financial piece.
sure.
So are the invoices customized? So can I put my company name and uh,
It's
logo, that type of thing on there, or
Yeah, it's minimally customizable. I haven't
okay,
used no, I haven't used QuickBooks in a very, very long time, so I don't know how customizable there is. But yes, you can do your own logos. You can choose your own colors. There's like a color palette you can do. you can't really move stuff around. It's like a standardized format for your like, like your stuff will always be on the left-hand side. The signing information will be on the right-hand side. Like if you go in it and check it out, you can. And that's I'll mention this too, just because since you guys have a lot of questions or a few questions or whatever. The nice thing about Notary Gadget is you can always open a free trial account and it doesn't, we don't like charge a credit card. We don't ask for your credit card or anything. And there's no time limit on it. So it's not like, hey, I don't want to use it yet because I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing the next 30 days. It's completely free to use for your first 15 signings. So if that takes you 5 years,
Oh, okay.
then so be it. So that's
Oh,
our
okay.
idea is like after 15 signings, you'll know whether you like it or not. But so just something I thought I would add in there. But so I'm sure you have other questions. But yes, you can customize it, but it's not like super customizable.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be interested in moving things around. Just wanted to know if it is just a standard, blank sheet with that was standard for everyone, or could you customize it?
Yeah.
So yep, that answers my question. And then
Okay.
what about integration? I mentioned that I currently use QuickBooks. So does it
Yep.
integrate into QuickBooks,
You
Stripe, my Google Calendar, any of those things?
okay, so QuickBooks, no, because it'll replace QuickBooks. So you won't need QuickBooks after you
I
get
won't
Notary
need
Gadget.
QuickBooks.
Um,
Okay.
Google, yes. So it integrates with your Gmail. I'm sorry, Tanya, like Tanya said, you'll connect to your email and then you can send emails directly from Notary Gadget. So like I said, you can send an invoice email. Like you're not going to create an email and then hit attach your invoice and all that. You just go in click the invoice button, click send email. It'll pull all the data in from your customer and everything and hit send. So, but that does that through your Gmail. So it'll actually go out from your Gmail. You'll see it in your sent items, just as if you typed it up and sent it would be the same thing. Your Google Calendar, yes, it's one of the most powerful features. So anytime you put a signing into Notary Gadget, it's going to automatically populate to your Google Calendar. And then obviously, if you have your Google Calendar tied to your phone or anything else, it'll then propagate to your phone as well. Now it is a one-way street though, so you can't put something in Google Calendar and then it comes back into Notary Gadget because
Okay.
the fields don't match up.
Okay. Got it. That makes sense. Okay.
Stripe, you asked Stripe. Yes, it
Yep.
does integrate with Stripe. We just added that a few months ago. So you'll put in your Stripe keys and then you can take payments on your phone.
Okay. Okay. So just a few more questions.
Sure.
What was it? What if you sign up for Notary Gadget and you have it for, I don't know, however many years?
Yeah.
When you cancel your subscription, do you lose access to all that data?
You don't lose, well, yes and no. So you don't lose access to it for the first 6 months. So
Okay.
after 6 months, then our system may delete it if we need space or whatever. So typically we say after 6 months, you don't have
Okay.
access to it. But up until then, you have access to it, but you just can't make any changes to it. Now, we do offer a 10-year data storage plan for 25 bucks. So for 25 bucks, if you pay that whenever your subscription ends, we hold all your data for 10 years and you can access it the whole time. So you just, again, can't make changes, but you can always go back, access it. You can print reports, do all that stuff. You just can't change anything.
Okay.
It's a good feature.
Yeah.
It's a really good feature. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. And I think I heard this. I think I was just coming in. So you can pull reports and export reports into Excel or CSV or PDF
Yep.
or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly. Most
Okay.
of them you can. You'll if you when you check it out, you'll see there we've got probably I think there's 8 or 10 different reports that pretty much are going to give you anything and everything that you would need. Sometimes you'll do exports for using it with a CRM or something like that, but that's pretty easy to do too. You just go to the signings page and hit the more button, hit export. You can pick what fields you want to export and all that stuff.
Okay. So one last question, and I think I know the answer to it, but I have to ask it.
Sure, of
Um,
course.
so I'm not only a notary, I do some contract bookkeeping as well.
Mhm.
Does that fit into that notary gadget space at all if I were to give up my QuickBooks completely?
So, yes and no. Are they two separate businesses?
I do it. No, there's one business and I just use a DBA for my bookkeeping
Okay,
piece.
for
Yeah.
the other one. Okay. I
Yeah.
say if they're separate, then you got to keep two separate sets of records.
Oh,
That's like
yep.
a
Know that.
IRS.
Yep. I'm a
IRS.
bookkeeper. Yep.
Okay.
Got it.
If not, you could track it on like your it's called the expenses page, even though you can actually record other income there as well. But there's no way to like break it out separately, if you would. I mean, you
Okay.
could create a category, an income category called contract bookkeeping and have it there, but you can't. And then you could, I guess you could have a expenses category called contract bookkeeping expenses or something. But there isn't like a way, like you can't break it out separately on the profit and loss. It's just going to be
Gotcha.
listed. All the income is going to be listed under the income, and then all the expenses are going to be listed under the
Okay.
expenses.
Okay. All right. Just thinking out loud about how I can
Sure.
integrate and use one system and not two.
Yeah, not
So
too.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Then that's it. I don't have any other questions.
So I have one more question, and
Good.
I think I know the answer, but I'll just let you answer it.
Sure.
Your Notary Gadget will let you send, does Notary Gadget let you send text message reminders to your clients?
No, you can't.
It does.
So this
Okay.
is we got an idea. Um, we're trying to come up with an idea of how to get around this. So the problem with this, so you can do email reminders. Email reminders are easy because we can send it from our server and just put a reply to of your email address. So when they hit reply, it goes back to you. There's no way to do that with a phone. And unlike we talked about sending invoices and sending emails, so like if you have a Gmail account or any email, just like when you add your email to your phone, you put in your settings and all that stuff, like your SMTP settings for those of you who aren't using Gmail. That's how it connects to connects to your account on Gmail server. So when you say I want to send an email from your phone, it connects to Gmail server and then sends it out through your account. Cell companies don't offer that as an option. So there's no way that we can connect to like Verizon and send out a text message from your account. At least not yet. Hopefully that'll come at some point. But until they do, we have no way. We'd have to send it from some, I shouldn't say random number, but some phone number. And the problem is when somebody wants to respond back to that, we don't have a way to get it back to you. And even if we did, then now we become the mediary for the conversation between you. And then what happens when you're doing it between you and another person? So you got three different clients and they're all going through the same phone number. So we got an idea of how to maybe get around it, but we haven't really tested it. So it's one of those things where it's like it'd be really, really nice, really, really nice. And I'm just waiting for at some point, I think they'll end up opening up cell phones just like they did email eventually, where you can connect to it. And then we can say, okay, cool, we get an authorization, we can start sending text messages on your behalf. So
Right. This was really good. I think I learned a lot, even though like I said, I used to use it and I loved it when I used it. So, and now it sounds like it's even more advanced than when I used it. So, Tanya and Cheryl and even Annetta, like you guys I think you're really going to enjoy using, Notary Gadget. It is a fantastic tool.
the busier you get, the more you'll appreciate it. That's the big thing is that we
Yeah.
find.
Yeah. Especially at tax time.
Yeah, especially
Um,
at tax time.
all right. So we have like 7 more minutes. So any other questions? Or do you have any questions for us? Like this is like our first meet. We kind of chatted, during the invite thing. Do you want to know more about Michigan Notary
Yes, actually,
Association?
I have a bunch of, not a bunch, but I have one question because you mentioned the CRM earlier, and that's something that we are going to add. So that's why I said not yet, but it is coming. Um, but I don't know, and the reason why we've never really done it is because in terms of using a CRM, like how would you guys use it? Are you thinking of like drip email? If anybody knows what a drip email campaign is, it just means like you're sending an email to somebody every so often, kind of to stay on their forefront of their mind, be like, oh, hey, don't forget I kind of exist over here, and if you need some notary services, use me. Or was there something else that you guys were thinking of? Because that's what I think of as CRM that's kind of helpful. Because it's not like I won't speak anymore. Actually, let me just stop there and then I'll let you guys answer that one. So anybody
Well,
who wants
somebody
to
asks a question, they want to know something, and they give you all these options of answers, and none of them
yeah.
apply.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna let Heather answer this question because she just got done investigating CRMs for us. And so
Mhm.
Heather, if you would like to take the wheel here.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
How will we use a CRM?
Yeah.
Oh, um, I use mine to, like you said, drip campaigns with existing clients, but I mostly do general notary work, and that would be a very different process for somebody who mostly does a lot of loan signings. Um, because it is sort of that ethics question that everybody has different opinions on as to whether are you allowed to remarket to like the title company if you were hired through a signing service, or
No,
are
yeah.
you even, is it okay to even contact those signers again? I stepped out of that question completely,
Sure.
so I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a
I feel like as an individual notary, it wouldn't be useful for me. I did have a CRM when I first started. It was one more thing to do. And I found that my time was better spent on marketing through the avenues that I know work, like Google Business Page and
mhm.
Facebook and Nextdoor of all places, and networking in person, than taking every customer that I had and putting it into a CRM so that I could maybe find time to send an email every once in a while that's going to either end up in spam or get deleted. So,
So that's an interesting question. That's why I asked that question, and it's honestly why we've been reluctant to add something like that because I never saw the use in it. I say 10 years ago, yeah, I think it would have been very helpful. Today, not as much, only because of what you just said. The key that you said is I'm going to send them a bunch of emails and then they're going to end up in the spam folder. And I think the big issue, and please, if you guys disagree, please tell me because I this has just been my own personal thought. Just because if whenever we've tried to do this was years and years ago, we tried to do like email marketing, like it was more work than we ever got that was out of it. And we always focused on just we found that if we just built a software that people love, that was enough. That like we didn't need to do all the other things because when people love something, we found that they'll tell everybody else. Just like, if I like whatever I buy, or like I just bought a new laptop, for example, right? And I must have told 10 people about this laptop because I love it, right? Because it's like it's ultra light. It's like you're like you never believe how light this thing is for a 16-inch laptop because it's awesome. But and especially today's day and age, like there's nothing worse. Like so, it's an LG Gram. So I'm tired. See, I told six more people here, right?
there
So
you
it's
go.
an LG Gram. Love the laptop. But I went on LG's website to like research or whatever what the newest one was, and and I went in there and I said, "Oh, let me know when this one's back in stock or something like that." And now I get every other day I get an email from LG, and I'm like, "This is the most annoying thing," and it has nothing to do with a laptop. It's like for a refrigerator or a dryer, and I'm like,
It's
"It's
LG.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
like the problem that I found with most email marketing is people overdo it. And
yeah,
because they overdo it, people are like, nope, spam. And I went through like 2 weeks of it and I was like, that's it, you're spammed. I can't take it anymore. It's too many.
yeah. And for a notary, we're not going to, and I'm saying this not for you, Steve, but for the three ladies here, Annetta and Cheryl and Tanya, who are fairly new to our world, however long they've been notarizing, which I know, we're just not going to say it right now. Um, your you can spend all day long emailing people, sending postcards, sending letters, and your ROI is going to be about 1%, if that. Your time in building your business is not that. That's not where it's at. You need to spread the word. If you want people to come to you organically, you need to spread the word organically. So get out in your neighborhood, get out in your community, become a part of your community, build yourself a business that way instead of trying to hide behind a computer screen or the post office. It's just not worth it. So keeping a CRM of all of your customers, you've got that. It's your journal is your CRM. It's already there. It's just not on a computer screen. So that's just my 2 cents after all my trials and tribulations of trying to. I'll tell you what, my best thing, and I still get calls. I haven't even set one in like 3 years. It's a what is this?
Coaster.
Coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, with my
Good
logo
idea.
on it.
It's a great one.
As you walk through the nursing homes, you drop one at every desk because somebody's going to walk up to any desk and say, "Hey, I need a notary," and they'll be like, "Oh, here you go." And if you're really kind and generous, take a water bottle and put it on there. Just like a cheap one. Put it on there with it, and that's how you're going to be remembered because they're not going to remember you unless they have to. So that's
I
going to
have
be
been
better.
using that tip, Leslie, and I have also found that a lot of the facilities that will not allow me to leave a business card have no problem with me gifting them some coasters, because how kind am I to give them some coasters to keep their coffee stains off the desk? And now every time they have somebody ask for a notary, they go, "Wait a minute, I have that phone number."
Yep. I'm
But
telling you, it was the best money ever spent.
So where did you
my
have to?
email marketing is actually fairly lucrative. And
Oh, okay.
I get a ton of repeat clients from it, just
You're
from
probably
people.
more consistent than I am. I think
No.
consistency is key. Oh, okay.
Um,
Well, I mean, I haven't
I
sent one
swear
in like
every
4
time
years,
I
so
remember to send out a newsletter, I get somebody who goes, "Oh, right, I forgot I needed a notary," or "I have been
good.
sitting on this estate plan packet that I need to sign for like 6 months. Thanks for reminding
Yeah.
me you exist."
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been doing with it, is reminding people of the things that they could be doing in life that happen to involve a notary, and
Yeah.
they call me.
Well, maybe that's the trick too. So this is a perfect example, right? So this is, and I think we'll get all sides of the story here, or sides of the fence on it, not sides of the story, sides of the fence on it. But that's a good example. And maybe it's actually because you're not doing it. I don't know how regularly you're doing it, but if you don't do it for a while and then you do it, it's not really spamming them, right? It's just like, oh, hey,
Yes.
oh yeah, I remember her. She was really nice or whatever. And it's just a way
Yeah.
to like, and that's actually how a drip campaign should work. It just, I
Yeah.
found most places, people, if I say people, places, companies, whatever, they just overdo it, right? You sign up and you get
Yep.
15 emails the next 2 days. You're like, oh my God, I didn't
Yeah.
like, you sent me something once a month. That's fine. Like, hey, that's great. I do
Yeah,
enjoy.
that's more like a fire hose campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And I think that it depends on what you buy. Okay. So, like, you bought a computer. And so when you have a new computer and you go out to your stove that's 11 years old, oh, I need a new stove. They want to be where you go to. When you
Sure.
need a notarization, you need it for very specific things in life. And
Mhm.
then every once in a while, it's not like you need to buy something. You're not going to get a notarization and go, "Oh my gosh, that's right. I have to get this too." Unless it's like, I did one POA and I didn't do the other ones. So it depends on what you're selling, right? Like if I bought
Mhm.
new clothes, I know I want more new clothes because these look really bad, but the notarization still looks pretty good.
Yeah,
We don't
right.
need to replace that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's why it works for you, Heather, and I think that's great that you do that. I
Yeah.
should do it. I just don't. So anyway, I'm up. All right, Deb, I think we hit our time.
We did. And this
Yay.
was great. I love this call.
This was really
I
good.
learned a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
All
Yeah.
right. Well,
So go
thank
ahead.
you so much, Steve, for coming and sharing. This was valuable. We have newer notaries on, new users, new Notary Gadget users. So this was, you don't always get to talk to the founder and CEO when you jump on a call. So unless you're Mina, she always got me or Leslie.
We'll take you places. Hang with us. We got you.
Well,
But
I
this is really
appreciate you.
good.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate you guys having me.
we'll talk to you again offline about the affiliate
Yeah,
program,
sure.
because we have a lot of members, so maybe
Yeah, would
that's
love to.
of
Yeah,
interest.
I mean, it's a great obviously a great product. You used it, which is even better. So it's like yeah. But we always love to spread the word even more. Can only help
Yeah.
people. So.
Steve, where are you located? What state are you in?
So I was gonna say this too. This is funny because I'm in Michigan, but I never got to say it in the very beginning. Yeah. So
Where are you in Michigan?
I'm in Grand Blanc. Where are you at?
Oh, I'm in Chesterfield, actually, Macomb County,
Okay.
other side of the state. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're not that far from me. I grew up
Yeah,
in.
you're like middle, aren't you?
No, I'm right by Flint, just south
He's
of
right by
Flint,
Flint.
right by Mount
Oh,
Holly.
okay. All
Yeah.
right. All right.
Yep.
I went
I
into
grew up
Atlantic.
in Washington Township, so I know
Oh my
Chester very
gosh,
well.
that's right
Just that.
there.
Yeah, it's like right there. Yep.
Yeah, wow. Well, we
Yeah.
have a couple notary meetups coming up in August if you want to come join us. If you want to
Yeah.
sponsor one of them, we're happy to let you buy lunch for all of us.
Yeah. Let me know.
Nudge
I
her.
will. I
Sure.
absolutely
It'd be
will.
cool to
Thank
come
you.
steer. That's what I was going to say in the beginning. I was going to sit down. I was like, one of the best parts about this is fellow Michiganders, right? Like, this is great. Yeah.
Oh, geez, the whole thing let's redo it because I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Michigan too.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you got 2 Saturdays in August that we need you,
Okay.
and then one if you want to go to Grand Rapids in September. We
Yeah,
got
let me know. I'll
yeah,
only
for sure.
if I'm not there, the only hard part about August is it's like because it's summertime, right? So like my daughter's in travel softball, so we're like
Oh,
that
yeah.
every weekend pretty much. And then if not, we're on vacation somewhere throughout the summer
Yeah,
because this is
I,
actually
I get it. 'Cause you know what? We'll allow you to sponsor us and
yeah,
buy lunch
right.
and we'll
That's
put a big
cool.
sign
Well, I'm
up
gonna
for
try and
you.
make it, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
It just depends on the day.
All
That's
right.
all.
We'll talk about that. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
sounds good.
All right. Have a great night. Steve,
All
thank
right.
you so
Yeah.
much for coming and joining us.
Yes.
Ladies,
Thank
Thank you guys
you.
again for having me. It was
Annetta,
nice meeting
Tanya,
everybody.
Cheryl, thank you.
Thank you.